16th Board of Selectmen meeting. I'll ask to start, rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. We'll start with the reading of the agenda. We'll go over our February 2nd regular meeting minutes. We'll move to community relations, announcements, and open forum. Under appointments, resignations, we have one appointment, municipal hearings officer and alternates hearing officer. We have two scheduled appointments today, 6:40 appointment of a planning board alternative, and 6:45 animal control officer / animal inspector. Under new business, we have two items. We have the highway department to talk about snowstorm emergency situation and to request to declare snow emergency. And item number 2 is a letter from the Mass Senate regarding the FY17 budget. Under old business, we have two items. We have ExxonMobil expanding water testing, and 2 is the Good Energy contract. Then we'll move on to community reports and the Board of Selectmen policy reviews. I do not see our student selects person, so we'll move on to the town administrator's report and other business not known at the time of posting. Our next meetings will be at Denfield Road site visit on Wednesday, February 17th at 9 a.m. On Monday, February 22nd at 6:30 at the Charlton Middle School, there'll be a Route 20 reconstruction project discussion. On Tuesday, February 23rd at 6:30 in the Selectmen's meeting room, there'll be a Board of Selectmen workshop. And our next regular Selectmen meeting will be on March 1st, 2016 at 6:30. We'll then go into executive session we'll come out of executive session only for the purpose of adjournment. And we'll move on to our minutes of meeting February 2nd. What is the wishes of the board?
Through the chair.
Mr. McGrath.
I make a motion that we accept the February 2nd meeting minutes as printed.
Second.
Your motion is second. Any discussion on our meeting minutes?
Mr. Chair.
Ms. Cooper?
At that meeting on the Denfield Road discussion, I did not mention lighting. I mentioned the possibility of one-way.
Mm-hmm.
Could we amend the minutes to reflect that?
Ms. Curry, do you have that? Thank you. Any other discussions on the minutes as amended by Ms. Cooper?
Nope.
Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. We will now move to community relations announcements and open forums. Announcements for a Board of Selectmen meeting, February 16th, 2016. The Town of Charlton free fly tying classes, basic freshwater fly tying, will be on February 25th and March 1st and 7th at 9 p.m. March 17th and March 22nd from 7 to 9 p.m. What's that? This will be at the Fay Mountain Farm at 12 Cemetery Road. Pre-registration is mandatory. Please contact Todd Gerard at 508-248-2247 or todd.gerard@townofcharlton.net, todd.girard@townofcharlton.net. Got drugs? Turn in your used or expired medications for safe disposal at the Charlton Police Department at 85 Masonic Home Road from 10 a.m. to 2 p.m. on Saturday, April 30th. This is from the office of the town collector. The 2016 motor vehicle excise taxes were mailed on February 16th and are due March 17th. The Mass DOT Highway Division invites you to attend a public information meeting for the Route 20 Charlton-Oxford proposed roadway reconstruction project on Monday, February 22nd at 7 p.m. at Charlton Middle School Auditorium, 2 Oxford Road. The purpose of this meeting is to provide an update on the design of the proposed reconstruction project on Route 20, beginning at Richardson Corner Road in Charlton and extending 3.2 miles east to Route 20 in Oxford. Following the presentation, Mass DOT staff will lead a discussion in order to answer questions and gather comments. Senator Goby's aide, Tyler Willanen, will hold office hours in the Selectmen's meeting room on Wednesday, February 24th from 11:30 to 12:30 p.m. Representative Peter Durant will hold office hours in the Selectmen's meeting room on Thursday, February 25th from 12:30 to 1:30. And this is from the town clerk. Dog licenses are in. $10 last fee after, it'll be a $10 late fee assessed after March 1st. The town censuses are also due and can be passed in at the town clerk's office. Also, nomination papers are available for the annual town election. Papers must be returned by March 17th. A list of offices are available on the website towncharlton.net. Are there any other announcements from the board?
Mr. Chair,
Ms.
I'd
Graber?
actually like to add something. I was going to do it under other business, but now might be in more appropriate time. Under the Mass DOT Highway Division, for their Monday meeting on February 22nd, I received a call from Mass DOT stating that on Monday, February 22nd, Mass DOT will be conducting the public informational meeting, as you talked about, for the Route 20 project. As part of that meeting, they're going to be discussing, and this is important, I think, for residents at home to know, they're going to be discussing locations at which U-turns will be allowed and necessitated by the proposed medium barrier. They've had several complaints about trying to be able to cross over and turn around. They're going to look at that. Those locations are Richardson Corner, the Eastern Oxbow Road intersection, Route 56, and Route 12. Those locations will be signalized. So I think there's 3 of them that have signals, so they are looking at adding a signal to one of them, which I believe is the Eastern Oxbow Road intersection. So anyone that wants to discuss that should definitely come down, and if they didn't get the date and time, they can give our office a call.
Absolutely, and just a reminder that is February 22nd, which is a Monday, will take place at 7 p.m. at the Charlton Middle School. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any announcements from the board? Any other announcements from the audience? Is there anyone here from Open Forum? Yes, sir. Please come up and please give your name and address for the record.
My name is Bill Girasolo. I live at 2 Denfield Road. I'm not going to beat a dead horse about this. I think it's really unsafe what has been done in the past 2 months. Closing Gelfoot is making our road a lot more unsafer than if you just let Gelfoot open. And I just say one thing about that. Of course, there's concern over Gelfoot and the level of water on either side. I'd have to argue is not 6 feet. That is swamp. That's about 2 or 3 feet of water. That kind of habitat wouldn't live in 6 feet of water. So first is first. That's a straightaway, and of course a car can go off that. But what you're doing is you're closing down that, and that's to a multiplier of 1, I would say. What you're doing is you're increasing the traffic flow on a road with about 33 houses. You add families and you add kids and pets. Now you're making that road by the magnitude of 35 or 33. It depends how many houses, how many kids, how many pets are on that road. Not only that, there's blind turns, the road is too narrow, and people are going just way too fast. And I just can't stand another minute of that road staying open while you're just concerned of a straightaway being unsafe for a car to go off in the water. That's arguably, I don't know where that's 6 feet of water. So that's all I have to say about that.
Thank you very much, and I'll ask the town administrator to make sure those comments get to our highway superintendent.
Also, we have, just for your information, a reminder, we have a site walk that will happen at Denfield Road tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock. So anyone who lives down there, we would encourage you to come down and meet with us. The Board of Selectmen will be taking that site walk.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. McGrath, did you have something?
No, I was just going to remind the town administrator that we had a meeting there tomorrow.
Great, thank you very much. Anyone else here for open forum? Sir? Just make sure you state your name and address for the records, please.
Hello, Jim Falzon, I live on Denfield Road. I'm here about both the road closing. I was here also a couple weeks ago, and I asked the question, and I was wondering if you had time to think about it, about putting a lighting system there, solar lighting system, so we could open the road down to 1 lane, because the concern was soft shoulders supposedly, and safety. But if we open the road, put lighting at each end of the roads, that way it's down to 1 traffic, as that was thought about, seeing that was mentioned a couple weeks ago. I was hoping Jerry would be here to see if he did any research on that, but I was just wondering if you had any thoughts about that or thought about it at all.
Ms. Craver?
I believe the board was going to take a look at that when they did their site walk. Unfortunately, because of the snowstorm, they had to reschedule it till tomorrow. So there's been no discussion since the last meeting on this 2 weeks ago. I was also, had a conversation at Mass DOT, and I know that the DPW director in Southbridge, as well as our own highway superintendent, has been in discussions with Mass DOT, asking them if they'll come down and take a look and see if we can find some solutions, such as the one you mentioned. We've invited them to come tomorrow morning. If they're able, they're going to send someone. So I think tomorrow will be the time that the board will have an opportunity to look at alternatives. I think this is gonna be a process. I'm not sure they're gonna be able to come up with one, immediately and put it in place.
Also, have you had a chance to talk to Southbridge yet? Did they end up breaking that dam, that beaver dam up to allow the water flowing, or is it still untouched? Is it
I have
still-
no information on that.
So nobody here contacted them to see if they could breach the dam and get the water flowing? That's my question. Did anybody here talk to Southbridge to see if that
As
can
far
happen?
as far as I know, sir, the two highway superintendents and the town manager in Southbridge are well aware of what's causing the problem, okay? The problem is that's in Southbridge. I saw a few comments from the town highway superintendent or town engineer, I believe it was, on that issue. So, and they weren't in a favorable light. Since that's not our town and they're aware of what the problem is, that's up to them to take care of that. We have to take care of the issue that we have now, is the road itself. And we'll have to move on from there. I'm sure it'll come up again, but when I saw the comments that were made, they're not claiming that, that they're gonna take care of that part of it.
Unfortunately, I just see a repeat of 11 years ago. The same thing is just happening again, And the only thing that came out of it was they widened the road at the Denfield Ellis side. Again, a Band-Aid, but it is what it is, I guess.
Well, I think that what we're trying to do this time is come up with more than a Band-Aid. Unfortunately, the weather hasn't cooperated so that we can have the technical people out there to take a look at it, okay? I'm not an engineer, neither is my fellow board member that was gonna come out, and Jerry's not an engineer. We've tried certain fixes over there, as I understand, through the years, and they haven't worked, including trying to work around the beaver problem and that. So it's time to make a decision on what we're gonna do. We're gonna have professionals look at it, decide what the cost of fixing Gulfwood Road properly is, okay? Or do we have to take the approach that we're gonna fix Denfield Road so that it handles the traffic and it becomes a safe road? I went over there and looked at Denfield Road, right after we had our meeting. There's definitely some issues there. I know Jerry took a couple of trees out at what I'll call the north end of the road, okay, not being familiar with the orientation of it. But when I packed down towards the Gulfwood Road, I used somebody's driveway. There's a blind spot right at their driveway. How they pull out of that driveway, I have no clue, okay?
That hill has several blind spots.
Right, and those are things that happen on older town roads. There was some concern about the trees being taken down, that they were somebody else's trees. I'm not sure, whose trees they were, what was happening with them. But before we can even do it, we have to do a layout of the road to find out actually where the town line, where the town's property lines are, and how we can remedy the situation to make it at least a little bit safer. But that's where we are right now. We're gonna have a meeting out there tomorrow. Anybody that wants to come to it, put their 2 cents in. We appreciate everything that you people have brought up, with pictures, your concerns, your firsthand experiences over there. And unfortunately, it's gonna take a little time to come up with the proper solution here. When I was over there, the police were over there also. And I stopped and talked to the police, we stopped and talked. So the chief's trying to do his portion of the thing too. Nobody wants anybody to get hurt on Gulfwood or on Denfield, so we'll work on it.
And just to echo Mr. McGrath's sentiments, the next step is the site visit and waiting for a Mass DOT representative to come out, take a look at the road. So next steps will be known after those two things happen. But thank you again for coming up and
Thank you.
making this issue well known. Is there anyone else here for open forum? Sir?
Good evening, my name is Don Konopacki, 15 Denfield Road, and I am going to beat a dead horse. This is obviously a very serious safety problem. The safest thing to do is to open up Gulfwood Road. Anyone who's ever driven down Denfield knows that it is not made for the kind of traffic that's coming through now. Widening the road makes it worse. I happen to live at the top of the crest of the first hill. What I can tell you is in the winter, if you don't have four-wheel drive, you can't make it up the hill. And what happens is people get stuck. One morning, someone was stuck halfway up when I was going down. I was able to stop, but there's a blind spot coming over the hill. Someone came over, was going probably a little too fast. Luckily, there was enough distance that they were able to stop and just give me a little tap, so there was no damage. But as you're coming over that hill, you cannot see if there's anything over there. And what constantly happens in the winter is people who do not have cars that have four-wheel drive or all-wheel drive have real serious problems trying to make it up that hill during a storm. And they'll go over and they'll slide and they'll be exactly perpendicular. And you're looking for something to happen. Something will happen, and I can tell you, I don't think I've ever heard of anyone actually driving off Gulfwood. At least 3 times a year, I see a car that was not able to stop going down the hill and goes right into the bottom of the hill. So what we're looking at is just ludicrous that anyone could think the safest thing to do would be to put people through Denfield Road, which is obviously much more populated. There's nothing in the Gulfwood area other than a swamp. And I would have to bring up, so are we also going to start closing Flint Road every time Flint goes? I mean, Flint also often is covered with water too and is closed down. So there are problems with the roads. The solution is not to put a Band-Aid, it's to actually address the problem and fix the road. And that's what needs to be done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'll ask Mr. Graver to make sure all these concerns are echoed to Mr. Poskett. Is there anyone else here for open forum or to talk about Denfield Road? Seeing none, we'll move on without objection from the board. I'd like to move to our 6:40 scheduled appointment with the planning board. Seeing none, Ms. Craver?
Yes, sir.
Can I make?
Ms. McGrath?
Yes.
I believe there was somebody that stood up that wanted to make a comment before, but I think he's a little confused if it was just about Denfield Road or not. So
Oh.
I think if you request again, if somebody.
Is there anyone here for open forum at all? Mr. Spiewak? Mrs. Spiewak?
Anytime.
Joe Spiewak, 90 Osgood Road, Charlton.
Karen Spiewak, same address.
We just wanted to say thank you to everyone who turned out tonight to help send the message about our water issues here in town, and the fact that any amount of MTBs in our water, especially in our schools that affect over 1,200 students, is unacceptable. So again, they braved the stormy weather, and we thank them for coming out tonight. One other thing I would like to ask of this board is if we could formally monitor the health of the residents in our town, because we do not know the long-term effects of the pollutants. And I'm just gonna cast a wide net. I'm talking more than just about the MTBEs. But I do think that's important. I think if we could maybe connect with the DPH, maybe get some college students, but find all the clusters, if there's cancer clusters, and overlay that map with where the known pollutants are. I think this is something that's very serious. This has been going on for decades, and moving forward, we need to monitor it.
Thanks. I'd just echo my sentiments, thanking everybody in the board for all the work that's been going on, and especially the town administrator for all the hours that you put in trying to correct this situation. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming out. And Ms. Graver, I would ask, will you look into that? Ask the Board of Health if there's anything we can do about that.
I can have a conversation with the Board of Health. I believe they may have access to an intern, so now might be a good time to have a conversation with them. Sounds like a good project.
And to all the residents, please stay informed and stay engaged, and pay attention to what's going on.
And we do have it on the agenda
Yes.
a little
yes,
further
yes,
down,
yes.
too.
Again, thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone else here for open forum? For any topic? Seeing that, we'll move to our 6:40 appointment of planning board alternative. Ms. Craver?
Yes, sir. We've been notified by the planning board that that Mr. Holcrum, an alternative member on the planning board, can no longer serve on the board due to his personal family scheduling issues. The opening was placed on cable and the town's website. One request was received from Peter Boyer. Mr. Boyer is an alternate member on the EDC, and there is no regulation stating he can't be on both boards. But he has noted that if the Board of Selectmen does not approve both positions, he would resign his EDC alternate seat, as he is more interested in serving on the planning board alternate seat, if a choice had to be made. The planning board is recommending the appointment of Mr. Boyer to fill that alternate position. The vote for appointment must be done jointly and by roll call vote of both boards, and I believe that the planning board is here.
Good evening.
Role reversal. Who's laughing? I know.
Yeah, as Robin stated, Carl would like to step down as our alternate. And at this present time, the board is a 5-member board, and we do have an alternate position that's always available. As Robin said, we did advertise it, and we had 1 application. At this time, I'd like to ask the selectmen if there's any questions they would like to ask. And if not, we would do a roll call vote.
So just to echo, there was only 1 application, that was Mr. Boria.
Correct, yes.
Just thanks, Pete, for stepping up again.
Yeah.
A little more low-key over there.
What are the wishes of the board?
I make a motion that we appoint Mr. Bory as the planning board alternate.
Second.
Thank you. And I'll ask to do a joint roll call vote, so if someone from your board would like to make the motion.
Okay, at this time, would somebody make a motion to appoint Peter Boria as our alternate?
All right, is there any discussion on this motion on our end? Seeing none, we'll move to a roll call vote. Ms. Cooper?
Aye.
Mr. McGrath?
Aye.
Chair votes aye.
Jean? Ross? Yeah, aye. And myself, yes.
All right, motion passes unanimously. Congratulations, welcome aboard.
Thanks, Pete. A lot of fun.
Again. With that, we'll move back to appointments and resignations for the municipal hearings officer and alternate hearings officers. Ms. Craver?
Where are we going?
It's page 15, appointments, resignations, municipal
Going
hearing
backwards,
officers and
okay.
alternates.
Thank you. All right. As part of the Massachusetts Fire Safety Act of 2004, the legislature enacted Mass General Law, Chapter 148A, which allowed for the issuance of citations for certain violations of the state building code and fire code by state and local code enforcement officers. In order to participate in the citation process, cities and towns must appoint a certified hearings officer. Citations written by local code enforcement officers which are appealed are heard before a municipal hearings officer. The municipal hearings officer is appointed by his or her municipality to conduct such hearings in order to serve as a municipal hearings officer. An individual must receive training provided jointly by the Office of the Attorney General and the Massachusetts Municipal Lawyers Association. With that said, the Department of Fire Services will be offering a training for those communities who did not initially participate or who have a need to appoint a new or additional hearings officer. I have signed myself up, as well as my assistants Kara Hemilowski and Mary Devlin, to attend the training on March 21st, 2016. I would ask the board to appoint myself as the hearing officer and Kara and Mary as the assistant hearing officers.
Thank you, Ms. Craver. What are the wishes of the board?
Through the chair.
Mr. McGrath?
I make a motion that we appoint Ms. Craver, the hearings officer for the town of Charlton, and that Kara Hemilowski and Mary Devlin be appointed the assistant hearing officers.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Cooper. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Chair votes aye, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. With that, our second scheduled appointment at 6:45 for the animal control officer / animal inspector will be held to our next meeting. So then we'll move on to new business. Item number 1, highway department. Ms. Craver?
And for those that are watching this, the animal control inspector officer appointment is being held because we have 2 Board of Selectmen missing.
Due to illness, yes.
New business, under the highway department, is Jerry here? No. Can we skip number 2, because it was my understanding that I think he was going to try to attend. So if we could just do number 2 first and then come back to that, perhaps he will be here by then.
We'll skip over number 1 for now. We'll move to item number 2, which is a letter from the Mass Senate regarding the FY17 budget. Ms. Craver?
Yes, sir. We received a letter from Senator Ann Goby regarding the FY17 budget. Senator Goby states that the governor released his budget proposal on Wednesday, January 27th, which can be accessed online at www.mass.gov. A few of the highlights include the following increases over FY16 spending. Unrestricted local aid funding by 4.3%. For Charlton, that means an additional $57,000. Chapter 70 funding for local schools by $72.1 million, which is statewide, and for the Dudley Charlton Regional School District, that increase is $77,240. Workforce training, and then there's several other accounts that has been increased, like workforce training, career technical skills, opiate-related annual spending, DCF by $30 million in new annual spending, early education child care vouchers in the amount of $12.6 million, and fun and safe summer program